The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And I'm Nelson.
Nelson is joining us today. So unfortunately, again, we have to lead with crime again. We had 3 incidents in 3 days,
That's
three
right.
separate days.
3 Fall River.
3. But remember, if you don't have a bullet hole in your house, if you don't have your car stolen or broken into,
If you don't have a bullet hole in the side of your car?
Stop bothering the mayor. It doesn't exist, and some of his trolls will tell you that, well, crime is everywhere. No, it's not everywhere. There's not a lot of crime in Newton. There's not a lot of crime in a lot of these rich cities.
Not a lot of crime in Westwood.
No, anywhere. Where is the crime? Where people ignore crime, like San Francisco, New York. They ignore the crime, allowed to go to Chicago. They just keep letting it exacerbate, and it goes unaddressed. And that's exactly what the city of Fall River does. There's no plan, nothing, and that's it. So we'll begin today's show with this little the dancing posts. Fall River PD investigating an overnight shooting. Reported pregnant female shot in a leg. Self-transported to St. Anne's Hospital and was then transferred to Rhode Island Hospital, which isn't a good sign. But I think the location of this has been, I've had 3 different locations.
So have I. I've heard Dwelly and Griffin. And
Dwelly in South Maine.
I saw Dwelly too.
Dwelly in South Maine, and then somebody said it was Griffin which
Street.
is on the other side of Globe Four Corners. That's the last cross street. Dwelly. But it's irrelevant. It was down in the Globe area, down in the south end again, and a pregnant female was shot in the leg.
And she was shot through her vehicle. There's bullet holes on her vehicle.
Well, good thing she had a vehicle.
That's right.
Who knows where that bullet would have went?
That's right. That's right.
If it didn't hit the vehicle.
That's right.
So, but I mean, look, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Stop with this stuff. I don't have any I drove up here today. I don't have any bullet holes in my car.
That's it.
So it doesn't matter because it'll segue me into something later. But we have to hit this one first. Hey, we start off with the big stuff, guns, stabbings. I just pulled this one out just to remind you. The case's continuing. This is one of last week's police investigating stabbing. So, okay, now we hit number 2 over the weekend. And this is like a public service announcement, too. So remember that license plate, 3MM132. And this is the caption. My dad's car was stolen yesterday around 4 p.m. from Rodman Street in front of Sam's Pizza. Silver Hyundai Hybrid. Ooh, a hybrid. They sold it. They got a hybrid. That's what some dodo. Okay, and it gave the registration as 3 Amazon Mike 132. It had an LED bar on the front bumper. If someone spots it, please call the police. Look, don't worry about it. Paul's not worried about it. Don't worry about it. This doesn't happen very often. Oh, wait a minute. What's this one? This is one from last week.
That one says help, help, help.
Help, help, help. Somebody broke into my car. And where? On Rodman Street. Where'd this one happen?
That one that was stolen in front of Sam's Pizza. You know what Sam's Pizza is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Freddie Arabono's used to be.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but it's unbelievable. They ignore crime and they pretend that like if we ignore it, it's going to go away. It only gets worse. It all says. But now we segue in because they don't want to hear it because it doesn't happen in the North End a lot. You don't see it.
I don't hear nothing really.
The elitists up there, all the richie riches, the people that are going to go down and sit on them $7 million benches under those $7 million lights, they don't care. As a matter of fact, I think you might have to show your W-2 form to get down on that walkway.
Might
You know,
be.
you either have to be a tourist or you have to have an income level equal. So just to segue this about elitism, this little ditty, and everybody don't complain. It's not that, you know, if you're gonna rent this apartment, if you're crazy enough to pay this kind of rent, that's not the color of the ceiling. My ink cartridges are starting to go, so the color is not pristine.
Even your printer's getting
Because
tired.
my printer's getting tired. The ink, I'm blowing ink like, and we're not, remember, we're not getting paid for this stuff. 3 bedrooms on a 3rd floor, newly renovated, very spacious, located in the Highlands. Quiet and clean area, open floor plan, and then this little thing at the end. In the Highlands, and that is an attic apartment because you can see the sloping ceilings. And remember, 3rd floor walk-ups are always the cheapest apartments.
Normally.
Right. But it's in the Highlands. $2,000. Not set up for Section 8. Uh-oh! Who also said that, too? Kenny Fiola,
That's
didn't
right.
he say?
Yeah.
The H-dip, but not
Yep.
Section 8.
August 4th of
But now won't fall under this. You know what this is
At the
code
planning
for?
board meeting, he said that.
You know, they should,
Keep the poor out of here.
this should be classified, this ad should be classified as a potential hate crime because they're discriminating against people. You can't live in the Highlands if you're poor.
Well,
We don't want poor people there.
I will say one thing. The requirements for a Section 8 apartment for a certificate is much higher than many other state programs. You got to have so many outlets in the room. You got to have so many switches.
Everything's gotta be coded.
Yeah, it's all gonna be within code, and it can't. I mean, there's no. Well, this is grandfathered in stuff. No, you got to repair it, and that's why a lot of landlords are getting out of the Section 8
Yeah,
business.
but look, isn't it? Yeah, okay, CJ. You know, and it's always been, it's good playing the devil's advocate, but there's just
You
too
have
much.
to.
There's too much circumstantial
Right.
proof that the North End does not want certain kinds of people. Not only in the North End, but even in the city. Remember that little soundbite we heard, a day or so ago, when Paul Coogan said high rents in the long term will be good for Fall River.
Long term.
And what is that code for? It'll keep poor people away from Fall River.
You know, I'm wondering if Paul and his administration thinks that by keeping the rents high, we're going to keep the crime low. I don't think they're going to be consistent with each other. And I personally think what's going to happen is if the rents are so high, the crime rate's going to go up because people don't have a place to live.
It's already going up.
That's right.
When have you seen this? I mean, we always had this stuff. We had a rash a few years ago of those break-ins when my car got
Right.
broken into. When they attributed it mostly to drug
Right.
addicts breaking into cars and taking the change out of the consoles and taking anything that was valuable, that they could maybe, I don't know, soda cans or so. I don't. But they were breaking into cars a lot. But as you said, listen, high rents, I mean, talk about, well, you can tell that Paul's never been in a leadership position, never ever had to figure anything out. High rents normally are only accessible to high-income people unless you allow people with subsidies to get into those areas, right? You think high-income people are going to come to a place that this is happening? We're #1 in crime in a state. Actually, it'll be a negative. He's actually hurting the developers that he loves so much.
Right.
Because we hear about all these things being so great and what they're going to come flocking in. I'd like to see the demographic of who's renting these apartments. We know that a lot of these apartments on Duval Street are going to naval personnel, and the reason they're living there is there's not enough housing near the base. So the feds are picking up the tab.
Well, and
those people are not paying rent.
Right. Newport did away with their base housing. They sold it all, and it's now market rate housing, or some type of housing.
Yeah.
And they regularly, because I've rented to somebody who was in the Navy, and they're 1-year leases usually because they're in
The war college.
They're in the war college and they're in officers candidate school, and that's what they have to do. And they're excellent tenants because if you complain about them to the base, that's it. There's hell to pay. So, but they're a good source of income.
And nobody's discounting that.
That's right.
But don't portray that as filling up with yuppies coming down on the money train from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And for our little troll that said something to the effect, I guess, when he was trolling, saying, they've already run a test run. Who cares? What is a test run? Did they bring down all the restaurants and all the money yet? When they bring down the money, let us know, because I'll go down there and I'll grab some of the money if they want to give it away. Because, look, this is absurd. The whole thing makes no logical sense. This is about the rich and the connected getting rich and more connected. That's what it's all about. And all you have to do is look at the class divisions that these people are about. Are they going to spend $7 million on benches and stuff up in a Flint? No. There's a whole bunch of benches at Lafayette Park. We're going to spend $7 million in Lafayette Park? No. Are we going to spend $7 million anywhere else except the Duval corridor? No. Because who controls the Duval corridor? All the rich people in the city of Fall River. And that's why, like the Highlands, hey, it's not set up. And I understand that. But it's also a great way to get out of stuff. Because you could retrofit your build if you really wanted to. But, they keep talking about all this market rate housing. I want to see the list of all of the millions of yuppies that are coming down here to live in a, I can tell you what, if they got kids, they're even dumber than, they're pretty dumb. Because they didn't check the school system out because it's 335th. If they're looking for a safe place to live, this is not the place.
Right.
Contrary to what the trolls say that crime is everywhere, it's not everywhere. It's only where they ignore crime. That's where you find crime.
And I want to just emphasize something. There is this grand experiment to have Fall River pay for like Boston type rent when our city is in the mid-40s for an average household income. 3 times the rate at $2,000. Do the math. That's 72 grand a year just to qualify on the income side. So, and look, and Paul has not answered my question a year later. Remember the infamous, well, if you don't have a house, you have nothing to say? Well, at the end of that exchange, I said, all right, Paul, so if that's your mindset, then I want you to run this city with property taxes in the budget solely coming from single-family homeowners. Exclude the landlords.
Right.
No answer, because you can't do it. So let's correlate that to real life. So if this continues with $2,000 and then 5 years down the line, if this continues and you have this mass vacancy and these landlords can't fill these apartments, what is that going to do to our city's budget and our services? Our city's budget is going to look very different not having that property tax come in, that revenue. And then this is what they don't understand. He lives in virtual reality, and he won't take those glasses off.
Great point, Nelson, but I have to disagree with you about the fact that he doesn't understand. He understands totally. He's not living in that Bobby townhouse on Williamson Street very long after he's no longer the mayor. He's out of here, just like all the rest of these people flew out. They don't live in the city anymore, or if they do live in the city, it's just an address. They got summer homes, and they got winter homes, and they got these people. He doesn't care. You know what's going to happen, and they don't care about it. Anybody that can see it, it's obvious. 2 words: Detroit and receivership. That's what's going to happen to this city. We're going to be like Detroit, a barren wasteland, and we're going to be in receivership in 5 or 6 years. When all these things hit, and the train, the wonderful train, which, by the way, they're now changing their tune. Oh, well, it's not going to cure all our problems. Well, it's not going to cure any of our problems, number one. But it's not, but it was the panacea for everything. It was going to fix everything. So, look, they're fully aware of what they're doing. but they're carpetbaggers. They're going to take their money and run. They don't care what happens. Kick it down the road. Let the mayor that takes over when we're going into receivership worry about it, because I'm gone.
And in addition, and I'll hand it off to you, CJ, is that, that's on the rental market side. I think Chip did some research and he found some properties that are hitting almost practically the $1 million on Eastern Avenue. So let's look at the homeowner section here. Okay, on the one end, your value of your home is going up. Okay, that's good. You're building wealth there, and that's great. No one's disputing that. But we're talking about home values increasing so fast that people who have paid off their homes with blood, sweat, and tears with their own hands are gonna soon face the reality of being priced out of their own city and the home that they have paid for, hoping that they will set that up for future generations of their families, and now it's gonna be all gone because, for one, the city doesn't want to rein in its spending. They're saying, well, taxes, they want to come up with all these excuses, but you know what? There's no excuse for reining in spending so that you don't have to increase taxes. It's just the government doesn't want to do it, and I'm telling you, it's gonna come a point in time, and I'm hoping it's soon enough, but who knows? Within 5 years, the train is going to increase the cost of living so much. People, I want to say this, okay? I'm half Spanish, all right? I'm going to translate this. The rents have doubled here in 2 years. Los alquileres se han duplicado aquí en 2 años. Okay, that's for our Spanish-speaking people. In 2 years, the rents have doubled, and it's like, people are going to realize, you know what? This is unsustainable, but there's more of us than them. We can take back this city. But pretty soon it's coming to that crossroads. And I hope that the people rise up together, take back the city, and put in the people who you want, who will represent you. Because not too long ago, once upon a time, people said, no taxation without representation. That meant something. And right now,
also a time in Fall River that if a mayor or a city councilor voted for a tax increase, they were gone. They didn't wait, they were gone. And those are the days we had 70% voter turnout, okay? You said, we're gonna have to increase the taxes, get out of here, you're gone.
And what happened to those people? They all left.
They all left the city.
Now and I'm glad that you brought up that point, because you see, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. But liars also don't like data. Well, the data is pretty simple when we look at it. Many years ago, when people used to get bounced out, we had a very high owner-occupied rate of housing in Fall River. Those people all left when they saw the city going into the toilet. Now we have, a 32%, 38% owner-occupied rate.
Very low.
That reflects people are gone. We have absent. Nobody wants to keep, or they can't keep their home here. They have to leave. Yet you look at the other communities, and it's income. When you look at this income, that's why, because we have 28,000 median per capita income and a 48,000 median household income. But now you look at some of these cities that we talk about. Newton, 78% owner-occupied.
Yeah.
The town we just talked about, the little tiny town with 16,000 people, 171,000 household income, 80-some thousand, and another 77 or 76% owner-occupied rate. It's reflected in how many people can stay in the city financially. This city, it proves we need more affordable housing. We can't afford these rents. And that 38 or whatever it is, and I'll look it up again, but I used to know it by heart, but it's in the 30s. That's going to go even lower because everybody that can get out of this city, but that's the problem. They're trapped now.
And especially when you're getting offers via text message or phone calls saying, we'll give you $500,000, we'll give you $600,000. Guess what? I can get $600,000, $500,000, and I can move to Pennsylvania where I'm going to pay $63,000 for a single-family home with 4 bedrooms and 2 baths and 2 garages. So what do I want to stay here for?
And not only that, but the problem for a lot of people, especially these elderly people like, as Nelson was saying, who who's have their house paid for years, and now they can't keep up with the even the taxes and the fees. They can't sell their house, even if they get a lot more, because now we see the housing market in the area. It's so high now, they can't afford to buy a house anywhere else. Because you sell your house for 400 grand, then you go across the river and there's 700 grand. You're $300,000 in the hole.
You can't even afford to buy a condo.
You can't even afford to buy a condo. And,
Yep.
and the thing is, this is coming to an end. Just this morning, a third bank failed. A third bank went under.
A third bank?
And they're bailing everybody out and trying to stop this. But the banks are failing. And the housing market is collapsing. All these prices around here, and I was talking to Nelson the other day, and I was reading them off, and it's horrifying. I mean, there was it was a mixed occupancy, stores on the first floor, 21 units above, on East Main Street, which is not the greatest area in the city.
It's not.
$1 million. $1 million.
Yes.
Wow.
And I remember, and I told Nelson this story, years ago when Joe Feidelberg retired and he was moving away, where was he moving to? Connecticut, where all the rich people go. You know, Yvonne Lindell, Paul Newman.
Yep.
He was going to Connecticut and he was selling that Tudor mansion he had up near Charlton.
Right.
That it's a beautiful home. I was in it. I knew Joe. I was friendly with Joe. Been in that house. A beautiful Tudor mansion. And I remember when he was selling it. And he told me, he said, oh, the realtor from Connecticut came up to get some information from me and show me some of the houses that he had on the line for me. Because he was rich. He had insurance agency for years. But he was asking $500,000 for that house. And it's a mansion.
Yeah, but back then, that was a lot of money.
In Fall River.
Exactly.
But that's the key. That's the point of the story, because when that realtor came up and looked at that house, and he went, how much are you asking for this house? And he said, $500,000, and I'm having a hard time selling it. You know what the guy told him? He said, if this was in Connecticut, it would be $5 million. See, that's the thing. Capitalism, it's about what the market can bear.
That's right.
And certain markets can bear these things. Fall River doesn't. And to answer, like Nelson, do they understand it? They understand it clearly. But when you're getting 45 grand for every consultation, and you're making a lot of money, and you're not going to ever stay in this city, you're going to leave, and you got the money to leave, you don't really care.
That's true. You know what this reminds me of, and maybe you can agree with me, disagree with me? The caste system. Do you remember the caste system?
Oh, yes, India.
India. I was going to
India
say
was
India.
classic,
Yeah, classic place for the caste system. Okay, there was the untouchables.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was where the all high and mighty, and in between there was the peasants, and that's exactly what we have in Fall River. We have the caste system. Okay, as Paul has made it clear, people who live in the housing projects are untouchables. They're untouchables. They don't have a right to say anything. They got to keep their mouth shut. They don't own property. And then you have the people on the highlands and in the north end. They're all in the high and mighty. And in the middle, who cares? They're peons.
And I know he'll attack me from where I live. But see, there's a problem with his way of thinking, but with me, I speak for everyone. People live in the projects, or live in a regular apartment, or you're a property owner. I make sure everyone has a seat with me. And it's like, you cannot erase people. Like, this grand experiment is going to come crashing down, and already people on Facebook are saying that the Route 79 is going to be the next homeless camp. All that real estate, you're going to see this. It'll be upkept for a little while.
But the thing is, that land's going to be sold, and it's going to be sold to people who are connected.
I know.
And that's how they're going to keep the homeless out of there. Because it's going to be sold, there'll be private property, and they can't set up their tents on the private property. But where they will set up their tents? In the parks. In the parks.
Or on the streets like they've done in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, or right on the streets.
San Francisco, and in New York City and Chicago. They're living
over at the train
subways.
station. They'll be sleeping on the train deck.
I predicted that 2 years ago. I said the Fall River Tea Station will become a homeless encampment.
Right.
That's what it's going to be. But as you said, it is the haves and the have-nots, the connected and the disconnected and the unconnected. they've set up a really, really, a deplorable system in this city where the average, and those are, as Nelson made a very good point, we represent the majority. And the majority has to exercise its right to vote to end this. That's the only way we're ever going to end this, is by getting people to vote and to participate. And that's the key. It's like tonight there's a charter meeting, and we're going to go.
I'm attending that too.
I will attend, because I'm going to address some of these things, like it was, having recall elections is a waste of money. So to allow the people to speak is a waste of money. To allow the people to not have the ability to shape their own government in a country that was actually founded on that principle. The Declaration of Independence says, and I'm paraphrasing now, when a government fails to work for the people, that government must be replaced. So we have the mechanisms to replace the government. And for someone, that charter, and you and I know, and we both opposed it.
Yes, we did.
That charter was made to protect politicians,
yes, it was.
Not protect the people. That charter from the get-go was to make it impossible to get politicians out of office, the people. That's why they want to increase the amount, and I'm going to go there and speak out against it. And remind them of a few facts and a couple of little laws, because they like to quote laws a lot. So I think we're going to see part of the first section, Article 4 and Article 5. We may even see a little quote from the Declaration of Independence, and a few other things, and just a simple question or an observation, because this is only a committee that's going to make recommendations. Just a simple observation. Is not our Constitution, was not this country founded on the government of the people, by the people, and for the people? And when you make it more difficult for the people to shape their own government, are you living within that parameter? You're not. You're doing just the opposite. You're turning this into a fascist state.
And I just want to say, you remember that movie, The Bug's Life, or Ants?
Yep.
Where the grasshopper was getting mad at his workers because the workers were saying, hey, only one ant rose up against us. He said, no, you idiot. They're more, if they realize that they have the greater numbers, there goes our way of life. And it's the same thing here. There's more of us than them. People, you need to get out and vote. If you don't like this government, remove them.
Do you remember why Mike Maioza wanted to change the charter? He said it was too old. There are things in the charter that are illegal. But the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, said that Fall River had one of the best charters in the state.
Yeah.
And now
One of the best
worst.
charters in the state. And now we don't even have a charter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have, personal opinions. And you can't,
And in regards to personal opinions, CJ, they don't like it when you criticize the people that they like.
Right.
But my question is, what happens if the person that they don't like gets criticized and put the shoe on the other foot? Will they have that same belief? And we all know, I guess on the radio, she knows who she is, right?
Yep.
But what would happen if someone were to criticize, I don't know, former Councilor Peckham the same way? Would she still have that same belief?
Off with their heads.
Off with their heads.
Right.
I will remind you something, CJ, of that Mike Maioza. They lied about the ballot question.
That's right.
We did have one of the best charters in the state, and they said they were going to just
tweak it,
update it.
update it.
And they completely threw it in the trash can.
That's right.
And that was fraud. That's why Mike Maioza would never, ever again get my vote for anything.
And here's the thing. You know why? You know what their rationale behind that was? The guys that they paid $60,000 to consult said, it's going to take too much time for me to pick out things to replace. We're just going to replace the whole thing. So we didn't even have a say in that. Somebody from Boston did. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. It's always a pleasure to be in your home. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday.